Okay, I'm going to reintroduce the next speaker. It's Representative Angela Arsenault, who's talking about H27.
Hi, everyone. I feel compelled to mention the sort of cosmic, I don't know what to call it, between H27 and H72. There's just something there, the bill coming up. So H27 is a bill that has a very specific purpose. It adds coercive controlling behavior to the definition of abuse in the civil statute. So this is for the purpose of requesting and obtaining an RFA, a relief from abuse order. This does not change anything definitionally in the criminal statute. It merely provides an avenue for victims, survivors of, mainly we're talking about domestic violence, but you'll notice in the bill where it does apply to all household members. And of course, household is defined. So this is providing an avenue to folks who are in abusive relationships that have not yet turned physically violent. We heard testimony from a number of witnesses that very often non-physical violence precedes physical violence. The bill does offer a non-exhaustive list of examples of what this might look like. Just to give you all an idea of what we're talking about. Some of the examples are things like monitoring or surveilling the person's daily personal activities, manipulating the person's mental health status, isolating from family or friends, the opportunity to participate in a faith community, employment, education, other support networks, things like threatening to harm or abduct a person's children. And these threats of harm can even apply to family pets. There's also a bit about threatening deportation or to contact local or federal authorities based on actual or perceived immigration status of the plaintiff or the plaintiff's family. And then another thing we heard quite a bit about was financial manipulation, manipulating finances, restricting access to money, bank accounts, even information about such things, all in an effort to harm an individual, to restrict their rights and privileges, and really, as we heard, an effort to intimidate and control, hence the term coercive controlling behavior. So again, just a really important acknowledgement that that kind of abuse is indeed abuse, for which a person can seek a relief from abuse order. And we also have, important for some to know probably, that we're very explicit about what this act does not cover. It does not cover conduct or situations involving parents and children under 18. There was some concern that perhaps this would be used in a way that a child could say, like, well, my finances are being controlled. So we were very intentional about excluding that kind of situation. Also not included is any conduct taken by the plaintiff to protect themselves or household members or even an animal connected to the family from the risk of present or future harm. So we were aware of the possibility that a defendant could kind of make a cross claim and say, well, but you took the kids away from me, or you did something to prevent my access to the children, and try to use this same route in that way. And so we're protecting against that as well. We spent a lot of time on this bill. It's, as you can tell by the number, 27. We started working on this last session, worked throughout the summer with partners at the Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. We worked with folks at Legal Aid and the Attorney General's office. And we reached a place that we all felt quite good about. So I'm happy to take any questions, or I'll look to Martin to see if I left anything out. Okay. Tomorrow.
If you do have questions, remember always you can go to anyone on the Judiciary Committee, go to Angela, go to Martin, or anyone else on the Judiciary Committee. But it is, as Angela said, up tomorrow. There is one question we need to use just while Jana's walking over there. We do need to use microphones when we're even if we can yell because people won't be able to hear us online.
What was the vote?
The vote was 8-3 in favor.
Great question. Okay, and before I call up the next speaker, because I just saw her walk in the room and I want to make sure that she has a chance to get her coat off at least if she wants to. I just want to say this is a new space for us here. And I really want to thank the staff for pulling this off and getting this space for us in here. We will not be able to be in the auditorium for who knows how long because of the flooding, and that is really unfortunate. We are a large group of people, so we needed a special space. Here we are in our special space. There are modifications that will happen following this, mostly technological, like with cameras and all of that sort of thing. So we're kind of being guinea pigs right now so we can show Kevin and staff exactly what is needed. It is spread out a little bit, and that's a challenge in some ways, but unless we use this space, the only other opportunity is in the chamber. And we have done that before, been there, done that. And it is not the most conducive space for a more casual conversation. Everybody sort of goes into being legislative mode. And so this will be better, I am certain, and I appreciate all of your patience with the new space and the challenges. The first thing we said was, oh no, that has pillars, and it does, but it only has two. So yeah, it's a different space, but it's kind of nice to have the ceilings a little lower and all of that. So next up, I'm going to call up, and I can't see her because of the pillar, but I'm going to call up Representative Wood. Are you there, Teresa? Oh, there you are. She isn't behind the pillar. She's right smack in front of me, and you got your coat off. I was looking for your coat. So anyway, she's giving us an update, and it will be on the floor tomorrow too on H72, which is our overdose prevention center bill.
Thank you. I personally like this space better than the downstairs, just because people are all together more. Except for this is like, it's not bendable. Oh. Okay. Anyway, can people hear me okay? All right. So, good afternoon. Nope, still morning for 1 minute. Tomorrow, H72 is up on the floor. We've put out a bunch of information about H72. It's a major overdose prevention bill. It establishes first off, you should know that there's going to be an amendment to the bill on the floor tomorrow that is offered by most of my committee. And that amendment is to increase the dollar amount to $2 million to allow for 2 pilot sites in the state, hopefully one in northern Vermont and one in southern Vermont. And the amendment also puts in place a time frame for the health department to develop operating guidelines, because we have found that that's, shall we say, necessary in terms of putting out expectations. And it changes the effective date to upon passage so that things can get moving as quickly as possible and not necessarily waiting till July 1 of this year. So the bill basically, as I said, establishes 2 pilot projects, and it does so utilizing, do I need to do something different? Okay. That's okay. It does so by instructing the health department to develop operating guidelines. They will issue RFPs. There'll be a response period. One of the other things that I think it's important for people to know, because there have been questions come up, well, what about this or what about that? We will have the opportunity to review those operating guidelines, those draft operating guidelines, and the draft RFP, because they will not be issued until next spring, not this coming spring, April 2025, because we don't know exactly when this bill will be out of the House, and it will take some time for them to do the research with Rhode Island, with New York, with Pennsylvania, with other states, working collaboratively to make sure that what we put in place in Vermont is informed by the experience of other people in other states that are already doing this. And so, so we will have an opportunity to take a look at what they've put together so far and offer our feedback and input into that, which I think is really important, because some of the questions that people have been asking, like, you know, what would be the age limits, or will municipalities be required to give approval? Those are all things that would be in an RFP and in the operating guidelines. So those are things that we will have an opportunity to give input into before they become final. So I think that's a really important thing, and one of the reasons we wanted to have a specific time frame in this amendment that you will see on the floor tomorrow. I think I'm not gonna, like, you know, elaborate too much further on this. We kind of put out a lot of information. We've talked about it quite a bit. I'm here to answer questions. There are other members of my committee who are here to answer questions, and why don't we do that? Does that sound okay, Emily?
Yes, any questions, please?
And we're also available if you don't want to ask a question in public. We're also available to answer questions one-on-one as well.
Exactly, and I just identify yourself when you.
Sure, Representative Arsenault, Williston. I think I may have just missed it, but can you say a little bit more, or maybe again, in this amendment, how that opportunity for input works? Something comes back to House Human Services.
The amendment doesn't specifically say that it comes back to us, but you can rest assured that our committee will be having the health department in to review that specifically. And there is also the opportunity to amend this in the Senate and to ask if we want to specifically say that we want to have committees of jurisdiction review that. We were thinking sort of more globally, Angela, but I think that you know, that can be done in the Senate if we want to do that. But you can be assured that our committee will be having them in to review the RFP and to review the draft operating guidelines. Or whoever's sitting, it is an election year, so whoever is sitting in our seats, we'll leave a little note for them.
What other questions?
I just want to thank you again in a different forum for your committee's leadership and this really important work. Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, not that I need to put a plug in for this, but we really, our committee has done extreme due diligence on this. And, you know, as I said previously, 3 years ago, I would not be sitting here being a very strong advocate for what we're doing. And I would have been hesitant, and we cannot afford to be hesitant any longer. We need to be bold in our actions. And this is a bold step, but it is not an unprecedented step. I just want to say that, you know, these types of centers have been around for 30 years in other places. And while it's a new concept for our state, it's a concept that we need to deal with. We are not in the 1950s anymore, and we need to deal with the issues that we have at hand, and they're complicated. And it's not going to be easy to do this, but there is nothing easy about the substance use epidemic that we have. Yeah.
I want to thank you as well In the caucus notes, there was I think, a referral that one of the benefits of these sites is that people go on to get treatment. Did you hear any testimony or what kind of data is that they go on to seek treatment?
We actually do have data from several studies on that. I don't have them off the tip of my tongue for you, Representative Austin, but I can get that information.
The earlier in the session we do it, the better.
Sit down while I can.
And like always, you know, Teresa just said it, but go see Representative Wood or anyone on Human Services. If you have any further questions, this is super important. Want to make sure that you all understand this is coming up tomorrow. Okay, that is it for us today. And we're trying to do this so that you all get to have a decent lunch. I don't have any more announcements. So have a great week, everyone. Thank you all.